Hello and welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Gaming $5,000 Standard Invitational Qualifier here in sunny Caldwell, Ohio. I'm Todd Tandy Anderson, joined by Corey Baumeister. Say hey, Corey.
Hey, what's up?
All right, we got 4 players left in the tournament. 2 players on Izzet Prowess, 2 players on Mono Red Aggro, 4 Corey Steel Cutter decks in the top 4, Corey.
Well, not fully, right?
Oh, wait,
the mono red ones don't play it, but
No
you know,
shot.
still,
I just assumed I haven't seen one on camera.
you would think it is definitely 4 monstrous rage decks. That's for sure. That's the common denominator.
Okay.
And mountain.
Yes, lots of monsters.
Lots of mountains.
Lots of monsters, twist spears, and other various red.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, so we just watched a blue-red mirror in the quarterfinals. That was Ryan Hayes defeating James Mangus. Off camera, we had Alan Miller on Mono Red defeating Jesse on Domain. We had Franklin Folks win an Izzet mirror against Jacob Fumich. And then we had Daniel Robillard win a Mono Red mirror against Avishal Joshi. So 2 blue reds, 2 mono red, no mirror matches, fighting it out to see which deck is better in this here.
Exactly. And normally mono red does kind of have the advantage since these decks ended up putting Magebane Lizards in the main. That was really the hot tech that put the red decks over the Izzet Prowess decks. So I got to give the advantage to the 16 mountain decks on each side, and mono red taking it down if I had to pick something now.
Yeah. Well, so this is the top 4. The 2 finalists, so whoever won this match, is going to qualify for the regional championship.
Yep.
They're going to qualify for the Apex Invitational. And then the winner, the champion, will get the Bright Glass Gear Hulk.
Yeah, that's nice.
Special playmat here.
What a nice one.
Playmat. And then this is pretty sick. We had, I think it was Force of Negation last season, which was really cool.
Yep.
And all of our ones that we have are now on the prize wall. So if you want to get one of those Force of Negation playmats, you better come up and play some.
I got one last time.
Yeah.
I got to the finals of one, and then I got destroyed by Bellamy. But this is always a really stressful match.
Bellamy.
No one does. Yeah. Not that weekend for sure. He won them both.
Yeah.
Kid.
All right. Well, the players are situated in the feature match area and just about ready to go. So without further ado, let's head on down for the semifinals. On your left, it's going to be Alan Miller, closest to the camera on Mono Red with that black Adidas hat. On your right, Ryan Hayes in the white hoodie. He's going to be on blue red, and Miller's going to be on mono red. Miller is the 5 seed, Hayes is the 8 seed, so Miller will be on the play.
Gotta just be a huge advantage to Miller.
No 1-drop, though.
Yeah.
No punish. Hayes is going to lead off here with Storm Chaser's talent. We're going to pass it back to Miller. He's going to burst lightning that token down, so trade.
It's all about the 2-drops here. Which colorless red thing is going to be better? Do we have the lizard? Oh, baby. I mean, how can Ryan truly win? This lizard gets so carried away so quickly. When you're in this race type situation and Ryan has to take 3 every time he double spells, ends up just being so devastating. And hey, this is the, I'm pre-built to beat the Izzet deck style decks, and we've seen this have a lot of success in the past.
So Magebane Lizard, normally a sideboard card, but there's so many decks that are playing tons and tons of 1 and 2 drops. So yeah, Magebane Lizard damage just getting out of control. Here's an Emberheart Challenger. It's going to be 3 damage coming across here for Miller, and Hayes already down to, looks like 16 from the attack.
And it's hard to argue with this deck, we saw Percy take down the regional championship with mono red with the 4 lizards in the main, and it just looked fantastic. And the deck is still putting up results since then. Turns out, mono red, when you can have the anti-Izzet card in the main, is pretty good.
Yeah, when Izzet Prowess is the most played deck in the room because of course Steel Cutter and the efficiency and everything, people all start to find ways to poke holes. And the Magebane Lizard, at this point, it's not new tech, but it is new in the grand scheme of things. Like, it's only a couple weeks old, and that card is usually filled by other creatures that are not quite as pinpoint disruptive for this particular match.
And you'll run into the matchups from Alan's side, like you play against Omniscience or whatever, and you have the lizard, and it's like, well, this feels pretty bad, so it is definitely trying to target a specific thing and not as great against other stuff.
All right, Miller here gonna fire off a burst lightning on the end step. Gonna take care of one of those tokens. Is Mage Bane Lizard dual-sided? Yep.
It is, yeah. So now Alan will take one, but if Ryan wanted to play a spell there in response, well, then Alan just gets a free lightning bolt to the dome.
Zap ya.
Yep.
We call that value.
That is what we call it, yeah, in the business.
All right, land number 4 for Miller. Not sure he's got too many spells to play here, but
I saw the Manifold Mouse to get cooking with that.
Double striking time.
Why not trample, too? Let's get it in there.
4K.
We're going to be doing both.
All right. Give this double strike. We do get a card off the top of the deck, but we can't play it.
Nope. Now, Ryan does look like he's setting up a Into the Flood Maw on the Lizard at end step, and then maybe have a turn where he, you know, in air quotes, can pop off, start doing his thing, but could also just be a rather defensive turn and do a stock up next turn, maybe get land 4 and do some bouncing at some point, but if you ever want to play 4 spells in one turn, you know, and you don't have 10 extra life hanging around, you got to do something about that little lizard.
All right, so 4 damage comes across the double strike trample. Hayes here. Let's see what he wants to do. I thought he might end of turn play the bounce spell on the lizard.
I thought so too. The one thing I think that raised Ryan's eyebrows there, and is going to raise all of yours after you spot it, I think that was a second monstrous rage off the top. So, you know, surface value, bounce the lizard, rage this monk, get a second monk, rage the other monk, and if we have another spell, you know, all of a sudden, 19 doesn't look that far away.
Yeah, at the very least, it's attainable over 2 attacks. And that's always where you want to be with Prowess. Is you can't always kill this turn, but you always want to be looking for the 2-turn, over the course of 2-turn kill. Monstrous Rage, bounce spells, removal spells, you know, haste creatures. These are all things you have to consider when you're lining up that match.
So Ryan's hand is great. It's stock up, rage, into the Flood Maw. So I'm totally with you. You want to pair this together over 2 turns, and if you stock up here and then Alan's end step, you deal with the lizard, that's pretty reasonable, but wow, looks to play as defensive as possible and not even looking to stock up here.
All right, so we're going to go back to Miller. Land number 5, I see Screaming Nemesis in hand.
Oof.
We can do some double striking to multiple creatures. We can use the lands to buff the Emberheart Challenger.
Yeah, a lot of options. One thing Alan could have started with is just point the land at the Challenger. Then if you hit a land, play it. You don't have to play the one in hand. And it looks like we're just going to target the Challenger now to try to hit a spell to really, really go over the top here.
Okay, so Manifold Mouse. Gonna give double strike. He needs to choose a target for the other Manifold Mouse as well before he sees that card.
Yeah, it might have been a verbal thing already, but
yeah, that's fair. Okay, so lining up an attack here is Miller. Looks like hold back the Mage Bane Lizard. Perhaps scared of losing it inside combat, but we're getting to the nitty gritty, and I might want to just press damage.
Yeah, it looks like it was double strike on the 2 mice, if I had to guess there, and didn't want to get in the 1/1. So this is not Alan presenting lethal at all, being pretty conservative here. So Ryan definitely could piece together block with this monk, for instance, then into the Flood Maw. I guess you want to wait till end step. So this might just be Ryan taking it, then into the Flood Maw, the lizard at end step, and then just try to pop off.
Okay, let's see what he wants to do, but it's a pretty scary spot to be. All right, so I'll take.
Yep. I like it. Take 7, go to 2, about to go to 1 when you bounce this lizard at end step, and then let's see what we got. 1 is not 0. You want to double check my math on that?
1 is not 0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
It looks like we're going to go ahead and just put a Monstrous Roll token. This is going to allow us to get Corey Steel token and a roll.
Oh, okay. We're cooking.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
And now we for sure have stock up and monstrous rage, but I don't know if 19 is a large number. I don't know if we got that.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we needed like opt off the top.
Yeah.
Hand off the top. Something to keep a chain going.
Land was kind of the same though, you know? Like because you're gonna stock up, you have 5 looks at another 1-drop here, so it's kind of the same.
Okay. See if this is enough to punch through 19, because once that Magebane Lizard comes down, we can't really block the Screaming Nemesis. We can't really play anything against the Magebane Lizard.
Yeah, no matter what, the Nemesis will just win the game next turn. So I think we found a Swift Spear, which Swift Spear gets the second Monk, and then you have one Monstrous Rage to get through. We'll see if it's enough. I would doubt it, but let's see. So it's only been one spell, so they are all 2 power except the Swift Spear, who is 1. Excuse me, the one with the roll would be 3 power, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm counting 15. That's not going to do it, but hey, it's just get the attacks in here anyways.
All right. I think we're going to be just short. Let's see if Miller lines up any blocks here. He might need to line up both his creatures blocking to survive, but I think it's just short.
I think it's just short, too. I think it's just math is for blockers type thing. Yeah, it just looks a little bit short. I don't know if Ryan could have played this too much differently.
Well, the turn where he passed with 4 mana and he just went, bound spell plus Monstrous Rage for nothing, like no value.
Yeah.
Probably should have blocked, then blocked, then Monstrous Rage, but maybe that would have left him at 0. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's tough because he's literally at 1, so if he played a stock up there, that would have been 1 extra damage that he took. So,
True.
It didn't look like he had a way out of there. From basically the second that Alan played a Lizard on the play. That's just how good that card is. Yeah. I mean, what deals 4 damage from this Izzet side? You're bouncing a Lizard to hope for the best, and then, well, they're just going to replay it again. But the problem with that is you're also getting pressure from red. That's why this matchup is good for mono red.
All right, well, these players are going to take a look at their sideboards. We've seen a lot of this mono-red deck and a lot of this Izzet Prowess deck. Hayes is going to be on the play here for game number 2. How is his Izzet sideboard going to handle this mono-red menace?
Yeah, let's see. So the Drake Hatcher looks pretty good, just has the ability to, kind of go wide there. Outside of that, Rebel Salva kills the Lizard. Get that one in there. I'm all for that one. Anything that deals 5 damage. Normally this card is for Shieldred, but looks like Magebane Lizard is the new Shieldred of the format.
I mean, Corey Steele's so sick that it just makes Rebel Salva cheaper.
Yes.
I love Rebel Salva. I think it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then Torch the Tower, you still want those. Be able to break serve, kill some of these mice on curve. That's really all I would be bringing in from
Corey,
Ryan's side.
I'm going to ask a question that I think a lot of people might want to know. So, you expect these mono red decks to have non-creatures in their sideboard to help win these longer games. Let's say Urbrass Forge, things like that.
Yeah.
Is there any universe where you want Spell Pierce against these red decks? Because I see people bringing Spell Pierce against me all the time.
No, I would not think so, as especially we see the list on the table. It is now open deck list when it comes to the top 8. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think Urbrass Forge is a card that should come in, and I think Ryan would know that. Now, whether Alan does bring in Urbrass Forge or not, that's a different story. But I would think no for Spell Pierce here.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But definitely worth thinking about for sure, because most of the time it comes down to that. All right, you're attacking in, and sure, you have some prowess creatures, but just 1 mana available, and you Monstrous Rage to get through some combat phase. And if there was a key Spell Pierce, it could break the game open. But it could also rot in your hand. That's the problem.
I think rotting in your hand is the commonplace. So I like your line. All right, on the other side, this mono red strat, it's up a game. It's going to be on the draw, though. So is there anything he does differently on the play versus draw, or anything on the sideboard you think really makes a standout?
It looks pretty pre-built already, pre-boarded. Now, the things that I don't love are the Witchstalker Frenzies. They're okay when you're on the draw. Nothing absolutely amazing. They combo pretty well with your Screaming Nemesis if you throw 5 damage at them. But the Abrades are the 2 cards that really stand out to me.
Cool.
Especially if we're on the draw, you could consider Torch the Tower as well to be a little bit more defensive, but nothing too amazing there. But yeah, the Witchstalker Frenzies, they are good against the Drake Hatcher, but if it's on turn 2, you don't really have the time to do it anyways.
All right, players here are shuffling up and drawing their opening hand. So let's head on down to the match, and we'll talk about openings. Mono Red going to be on the draw. So if you're on the play with Izzet, what are you looking for? Is it just Storm Chaser's talent?
Yeah, I would think so. And from the look of Ryan's hand, some more lands. But you're really just all about, please, Alan, don't have any 1/4s. Not a single 1/4, please. Looks like Ryan did fine land number 2 here, so we're cooking.
Okay. Both players did keep 7, so sleight of hand for Ryan. Going to pass it back. Miller going to lead with a hired claw. And that's going to threaten some damage. We'll see if Hayes has the answer or a blocker for it.
By far the lesser lizard.
What's the greater lizard?
Magebane lizard.
Oh.
Look at this lizard synergy, too.
Look, you can put Magebane lizard with the land, right?
You sure can.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Synergy.
Why not?
All right, so we're going to go back to Miller. So it has 2 toughness here, this hired claw. My guess is if it gets sent into the red zone, Hayes is not going to block because he would lose his Drake Hatcher to a Monstrous Rage. Miller doesn't want to get in the damage or doesn't want to make the bluff and decides to Magebane first, giving away the game, but we're going to steal deal damage with the attack from the hard.
I'm with you, though. That's a big loss. Like, first thing, before you even play the second land, represent Burst Lightning, represent Monstrous Rage. 0 chance Ryan blocks. 0. You can't, because this Drake Catcher coming back on the other side is going to be gigantic. So this should be Ryan at 18. You just play it before you play the Magebane for sure.
And this is, a lot of times you'll watch, players on camera make a play that one of the casters, Ross or myself or Corey, would disagree with. And I think oftentimes, we are able to see things like kind of top down, but also we've played a long time.
Yeah.
We know a lot of those little tricks, and so we're trying to, basically put those tricks back into the pool so the other players know about them too.
Definitely, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a while since we've been all out on the streets. We're all, retired fossils of Magic players at this point, but we've seen these kind of bluff scenarios in the past, whatever form they may be,
We have a serious play.
What? Did we just block?
Ryan Hayes attacks with the Drake Hatcher, and Alan Miller says, I'm going to block with my Magebane Lizard. And guess what? 1 Monstrous Rage later, and Magebane Lizard is dead. This is a disaster.
I do not love how Alan has begun this game.
Yeah, so it's +1 from the Prowess, +1 from the roll, +2 from the Monstrous Rage, so it's actually 5, and then tramples over for 1.
Yeah, you get 1, counter on it as well. But, I mean, mainly, the lizard is not there.
Yeah, and that thing is a nightmare.
Yes, exactly. That was...
Look, it's okay. We've had talks with our director, and Miller is a long-time regular here, but hasn't punched it into the top 8 too often, and maybe a little nervous, maybe just a little bit of a novice.
Hey, I mean, that's a big match,
It is.
Top 4 going into the finals when you get a double qualification. I was nervous. I've been playing Magic, my whole life, basically. I get nervous in those spots where, you get to qualify for a end-of-year tournament. You get to go to an RC. Those are big moments. These are huge matches, really, in any career.
Okay, so Hayes going to lead off here with a Burst Lightning on the hired claw. See if Miller has Monstrous Rage to protect. Doesn't or chooses not to. And now Hayes with a Prowess trigger can hit for 3 with the Drake Hatcher, which makes a Drake right off. We also got a Prowess trigger from the Otter. See if Hayes wants to do anything else before damage.
And looks like Ryan's only play right now is another Burst Lightning.
Well, here's a Witchstalker Frenzy on a defensive stance. We'll see if Hayes has something to protect. We're going to go Burst Lightning face. And this is going to put it, a 6 toughness? Just this?
That'd be 6, yes. But the second thing will actually clean that up. Into the Flood mod does not have a legal target. Wouldn't matter, actually, because it's getting 7 damage anyways. So, all right, great exchange for Alan there.
Yep. Gets to trade 2 removal spells for a Hatcher and Burst Lightning. The Otter gets through, though, for a little bit of damage. But got the tough one off the board.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey, that was a great exchange for Alan. Alan's right back in it with that Drake Hatcher out of there.
Finds a land, puts it directly into play. Here's Sunspine Links. We're going to play this one. Let's get this one on the screen. 4 cost 5/4 Menace. When it comes into play, deals damage to both players equal to the number of non-basics they control, and players can't gain life.
And we were calling out the little misstep there on Alan. That was a true missteps on Ryan's part. If Ryan didn't attack with the Otter, that play was not possible, and no matter what, that Drake catcher was going to get to at least, for sure one Drake counter. Might have got to 2, as the Frenzy would have made Alan completely tap out.
Whoa. You're saying don't attack with the Otter?
Yeah.
That's a next level play.
That's the next level play. Yep, because he had everything locked up except Frenzy plus a burn spell. So if he left it back there, Ryan gets to put in some Drakes.
We pay 3 mana for the Witchstalker. We're tapped out.
Exactly. And Alan, what is he going to do? Leave up mana for the rest of the game to keep trying to Frenzy this Drake catcher? No, you play the cat, and then all of a sudden that card gets stranded in your hands. So that was a true misstep on Ryan's part as well.
Okay, well, it's a tough play to see, but that's a nice find from Corey B. So, Sun finally gets bounced. We're going to replay it, dealing some more damage. Ryan down to 13. Looks like we drew another into the Flood Moss, so we could just bounce the links again and keep smacking.
Yeah, looks like this is 7 damage upstairs if Ryan really wanted to.
Well, this is perhaps a huge blowout because this Burst Lightning is being cast way too late in the chain. You got to main phase that. You got to do it while your opponent's mostly tapped out.
Or with the first Prowess trigger on the stack. It's still risky there. Don't get me wrong, but
now if he plays the links, he goes to 4. He's dead to a lot of stuff.
Yep. But Ryan does not have said stuff, so.
Okay. Miller down to 4. Hayes down to 9, I believe.
Sounds right. So Ryan has 1 Torch the Tower in hand, so 1 more removal spell isn't quite enough either. So yeah, still has to find some stuff, but even land 4, oh god, is that an Into the Floodmaw? That's still not enough, but a good draw. One short, unless Alan is not at 4.
Well, could have Torch the Tower the links and then bounce the links and then put him to 1.
Yeah.
Casting the links is death.
The links is already
The
death.
Soulstone Sanctuary came down last turn. I missed
Yeah.
it. Yeah, so yeah. Uncastable. We're at 2. I think just has a land, but has a Torch the Tower as well.
But now the problem with Alan is, sure, you're not dead. You can't cast the links anymore, and you don't have a lot of pressure. So if Ryan draws land 4, level up, get Burst Lightning, you got 1 turn.
Yeah.
But Alan can animate this Soulstone Sanctuary and start getting busy and then torch this Otter.
Yep, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Says go. Going to basically play around like a Swiss Spear, but, he has the ability to animate it. He's just afraid of a haste creature.
Yeah, you play around it by attacking it anyways. It has Vigilance. So.
I agree. I don't know. He did say activate here, I believe, because he moved it up. So he didn't miss it completely.
He did it at end step, I believe. Mm-hmm. But yeah, could have got an extra 3 damage in.
Emberheart Challenger.
Okay, big game.
We have this land to target it. See what the top card is.
Oh. And we rage. So I believe we have land from Alan. Land 6. And a Torch the Tower. If that was the case, you can... Oh, no Torch the Tower. Okay.
Yeah, just the Monstrous Rage here. So I don't think we can do lethal. We're currently at 6. Monstrous Rage would be 7, 8, 9, 10. So it'd be 1 more.
It's 9 damage. If we attacked for 3 last turn, we've represented lethal and forced a chump block with the Drake Hatcher. Oh, no.
Wow. This game's turning around pretty quick.
This game has been a roller coaster.
See if Miller can find a way to close it out here. We're going to go ahead and Monstrous Rage on the Emberheart Challenger. I would have put it on the Soulstone Sanctuary. Make it a little bit bigger. Harder to kill. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, the Torch the Tower can legitimately clean it up right now. But as long as it's not lethal, then Ryan just gets to untap, torch the tower with sacking the talent on the 3/3, attack for 2. GG. So as long as this isn't lethal, which it's not, Ryan just wins next turn.
Okay.
But if we attack for 3 that last turn, this turn looks a lot different. Drake Hatcher has to get in the way. And then this looks a lot tougher.
Man. Okay, so here is Torch the Tower. This is going to zap the 1 blocker, and then Ryan is going to take the game. Just going to tie it up 1-1. All right, so a really interesting game there because it seemed like Miller was behind the whole time, had a couple different spots where it felt like he was going to come back. And then ultimately Ryan just was a little bit tricky there and took it down.
Yep, very back and forth game for sure.
All right, so these players are going to be taking a look at their sideboard. I don't think we need to do that. We've been talking a lot about the Izzet Prowess deck and the Mono-Red Aggro deck. So let's take this time while they're shuffling and mulligan and say thank you to the sponsors for this weekend's festivities. Apex Con is sponsored by Ultimate Guard. Ultimate Guard is the industry leader when it comes to TCG supplies. From the archive deck box to the katana sleeves, check your local game store for Ultimate Guard products today. We're sponsored by Once Upon a Galaxy, an auto battler where you traverse space and time with mythical heroes and compete against your friends or robots, your choice. You can also play against random people on the internet. It's really fun. We're sponsored by Moxfield. Moxfield is a great place to build and share deck lists with your friends. If you'd like to see all the deck lists from today's event, they'll be on our Moxfield page in the coming week. We're also sponsored by SpiceRack.gg. SpiceRack is a beautiful piece of tournament software we've been using here on the Apex series for a little over a year now. If you are a tournament organizer, it's a great place to run events. And if you're looking for an event to play as a player, well, it's got an event locator so you can find your nearest RCQ.
A fine group of sponsors.
Thank you.
To sponsor a fine tournament here. Gotta love it. Gotta love some high-stake Magic on a fine Saturday in Caldwell, Ohio, with wings, etc., waiting for anyone in the wings.
Oh, yeah. Wings, etc., waiting in the wings. I like that.
Yes, yes.
So, Hayes won game number 2. Miller's going to be on the play here for game 3. We know that Magebane Lizard block on turn number 3, I believe, a bit dubious. Ultimately, I think that cost Alan the game, but there were at least 4 different decisions that if he had made a different decision in those spots, maybe things turn around. I'm not sure if anyone would have significantly won him the game necessarily.
Yeah.
I know very late in the game, a couple of different decisions could have.
Yeah, Ryan really had the one opportunity. Ryan's one mistake was that opportunity to hold back a blocker, which is not, that's a tough play to really play around. Mm-hmm. That would have been his sicko play. Otherwise, he played a very tight game there.
Yeah, you're fine on the Witchstalker Frenzy turn. That was sick. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I only really know I was playing in the Arena Champs, and I 100% lost a match because I didn't hold back a creature to turn. They had 1 mana open. I was like, wow, what could you have? Attack with 3 creatures. Get wrecked. That one's a little more obvious, but ever since then, I'm always looking for spots to make that card dead, especially against an opponent that has 4 in the main deck. So that's the main thing when I look at a deck list. That would be in the back of my head. Frenzy, frenzy, frenzy. Yeah. Control how many creatures you attack with, because if you can ever stall that card in your opponent's hand when they think they're going to get away with it, and they're like, oh, you're going to attack no matter what. You got 2 creatures. I'm holding up 2 mana. It's easy. And then if you dead that play by your opponent, it usually sets them back far too much.
It looks like both players are taking a mulligan here, down to 6. We'll see how these 6-card hands look.
That's a lizard right in the window, and a mountain, and another mountain. Keep. You got lizard, you got 2 lands. I think that's a Screaming Nemesis. 3 lands, lizard, nemesis. Perfectly reasonable and a solid start. And then, of course, there was another card as well.
Now, on the other side, I see Island, Sleight of Hand, Quarry Steel, but I don't see a red land for Hayes. Oh, I do. Never mind.
Yeah.
He has everything.
Yep, it's got the land.
Blue, red hand.
Perfect keeps there from both players, and we'll get a good game out of this one.
All right, the increase in Magebane Lizard, do you think it makes the Izzet decks change their removal suite at all? Do you think something like Obliterating Bolt comes back, or do you think maybe even they use their own Witchstalker's Frenzies?
Yeah, I don't know. I really thought there would be a over adjustment to that because, well, it's been doing incredibly well. Before the last RC, it took like first and second in a Magic Online challenge and then won the RC. So I would imagine this is something that would be on people's radar. But
one heads up play from Hayes here had the ability to play Swift Spear on turn number 1. Miller did not play a 1-drop, so Hayes assumes removal spell, saves the Swift Spear, maybe going to try to save it later on with an instant or sorcery.
I mean, especially as... I mean, now it's just going to die, but I was going to say...
the second turn instead of the first turn.
Exactly. That's a big deal. And yeah, you got to think there was a lizard from Alan. I thought I saw a lizard. Maybe my eyes were deceiving me, but, well, there was one, if anything.
Well, maybe Miller has the idea that he wants to empty his hand before he plays the lizard so he doesn't deal himself as much damage, but, you know.
Yeah. Doesn't look like there's another lizard in hand, so I must have just missaw. Or it got put to the bottom.
It got put to the bottom because he wanted to keep lands and some interaction.
Yeah.
All right.
Possibility.
Land number 3 for Hayes. Both players having smooth openers, but neither doing anything too aggressive. Hayes going to play a stock up and refresh some of those resources after the mulligan. Going to take a damage from the Magebane Lizard. We'll see what he wants to keep, but Lizard intact.
3 lands, 2 spells, and Ryan already has land 4 in hand, so seems like a 4 stock up there, and that's exactly what he does. And hey, this is the advantage when both players mulligan. You know, especially, you know, something like both players mull to 5. Huge favor to the Izzet deck when you have a card like stock up.
All right. Screaming Nemesis, the play for Miller, and a big attack for 4. Going to put Hayes down to 14. And he even has a Heartfire here to follow it up.
That's a big game.
Alongside that land, he's going to be able to give it a buff next turn, both from its ability as well as the land.
Yeah, and now the turns that, you know, look amazing for Ryan to come back. It starts with Corey Steelcutter, then you get 2 pieces of interaction, but that leads to 6 damage to Ryan's face if he does do that, you know? And boom, that's already 3 damage to his face.
4 damage counting the Heartfire Hero ability.
Yeah, 4 with the Heartfire Hero. You do got to kill it, though, because it's going to get Rockfail villaged and just kind of pop off. Oh, no. I think I might have saw a Soulstone Sanctuary in hand from Alan.
Oh, he's holding it too long.
Yeah, where if you just don't play him out... I could be wrong on that, but if that was the case...
I thought I saw it as opening hand.
Yeah. Which, you know, it's fine to hold it, but on the last turn, now you could just play land 4 and animated it if it's the case, but...
All right, we're going to use the Rockface Village to buff the Magebane Lizard. Now we're going to swing in for 5 damage. See if Ryan wants to take it or bounce something. Gonna take it.
Kerplunk. All right, it must not be. That wouldn't make any sense to hold that one.
All right, we'll try to get an eye on what it is in a sec, but I agree. If it was the Sanctuary, it should definitely be in.
Yeah, yep.
No bounce ball from Hayes. Going to try to find a better turn for it.
God, this just looks so rough for the Izzet Prowess deck. Okay, a Frenzy. Of course, it's always a Frenzy. That would make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Line number 5 for Hayes.
God, if it was Frenzy, we had the opportunity to do a sick play where we attack, get the damage in, end of combat, Frenzy your own Screaming Nemesis, put Ryan to 1 with a Lizard in play. What are you going to do? You know?
Wow. I didn't even see that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
All right. The Witchstalker Frenzy finale damage with Screaming Nemesis is awesome.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It's just awesome.
Okay, but, you know, the one thing that you can do here is if Ryan tries to go a little crazy... Oh, okay, this is going to be sweet. If Ryan just tries to double spell, even if he bounces the Lizard here to start the turn, that puts Ryan to 5, and you're going to get at least one other attacker that's going to come in. It's going to get a cost reduction down to 2. You aim it at your own Screaming Nemesis, and you win the game in combat.
Yeah, this could be dicey. We got... Hayes does have a bounce spell in hand, though, so you got to find the right spot to play the Frenzy.
Yeah, you think you gotta bounce the Lizard proactively, though. You know, otherwise, you can't just play all these spells, and then you're not presenting anywhere near enough damage, and you're not putting yourself in a position to win the game. You're putting yourself in a position to not lose the game slowly. You know.
Could just go Burst Lightning Face, go to 5, hold up the bounce spell, take the 3 from the Screaming Nemesis, never do anything, wait for them to try to kill it to bounce it. It's just every single moment the Magebane Lizard sits around, it's just more squeeze damage.
Yeah, and even if you're just attacking with a 2/4 Lizard, like sure this Drake Catcher is some solid defense, but yeah, I would just love to see Alan do nothing there. Great job.
Yeah, sometimes even when you have a cool play, your opponent can have a counterplay, and so you just want to be patient. Wait a half turn, wait a full turn, wait 2 turns, try to find a better spot. Okay, here's Hardfire Hero off the top. It's a good draw because now we can threaten a lot of damage with this land.
Now, as long as you attack with at least 2 creatures, you give yourself the ability to pop off. I don't know. I don't know if you can.
You can miss the Hardfire's +1/+1.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal. All of a sudden, you have 6 power coming in that, you know, if you ever deal it damage or kill it, you take that damage anyways. So, yeah, that's a big deal.
Does Witchstalker Frenzy say attacking creatures or creatures that have attacked this turn?
For each creature that attacked this turn, and then deal 5 damage to target creature.
All right, so right now, Witchstalker Frenzy costs 1 mana for the rest of the turn.
For the rest of the turn, yes.
Hayes gonna move to blocks.
I think with that counter on it, I don't think there was a true way to get around this. Without the counter, you can at least block with the Drake Hatcher on the now 2/1. No, but then when that dies, that still deals 2. I think the only... Oh, God, it's so tough. I
think Ryan basically has to play the bounce spell here. He just goes to too low life. If he just blocks Hardfire Hero with the 1/3, it's 4 damage coming across.
I think he had to play the bounce spell at the beginning of combat.
All right, so he's going to go to 5.
If he played the bounce spell on the Screaming Nemesis at the beginning of combat, then you don't get put in this situation, but...
We'll see if it ends up mattering.
So right now, Alan wins if Alan does the play, because we know Ryan does not have another spell that interacts. It's Burst Lightning, Monstrous Rage, but Alan doesn't know that. And if he had another Into the Floodmaw, you know, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, we're going to block the Screaming Nemesis. Our creature is currently a 2/4, and we're going to take 1, and then we're going to take 2 more.
So if that counter was on this, this was a lethal attack. Because that has prowess. So 2 damage is getting dealt to Screaming Nemesis.
All right, so now we can just replay Magebane Lizard, though, and I think we're still in a fine spot. But Miller, you know, might not want to Witchstalker Frenzy, might not even be aware that he can/should Witchstalker Frenzy his own creatures. Unsure at this point, but trying to figure out the best place to do it.
I think the best play here would be to just Witchstalker Frenzy the Heartfire Hero. Because if it gets bounced, then you just replay it and you have another blocker. But as it stands, this is going to get it done.
Yeah. Miller.
Sick.
Witchstalker Frenzy on his own Screaming Nemesis to take the game and match over one of our best players here on the Apex series, Ryan Hayes. Mono Red defeats Izzet Prowess.